free to me. It's free to be exactly me, to say out loud just what I think. It's free to me. I'm free to dream. It brings relief and peace in me. That's free to me. That's free to me. 'Cause honesty, the inner deep, it has to be divinity. That's love in me. 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 The only way. The only way. The only way.
Ooh. That's called Free to Me, off my new jazz and funk album. I think the link is in the description. I have a lot of information I want to give out, and there's only one person in right now, and I don't want to really start without more people in the building. So I think what I'm going to do is just play another cut from my jazz album till I see like 3 more people in here, because I do want to talk about, man, obviously we're going to talk about Fauci, right? At this point, shout out to all the conspiracy theorists, through all the defamation and the groupthink. We worked ourselves right through that, right? And you got to stand on business when it is when you know what you know, and that's because you're tapped in. You're tapped into, your intuition has not been contaminated, and that has a lot to do with you, right? Because the more you betray your intuition, the less and less it becomes a tool in your life. But the more you rely on it, it's like you're not asking somebody for their validity. You're not asking. No, I'm telling you this is how it's going to turn out, right? Based off my intuition, past experience, and the knowledge that's before me. I'm telling you exactly how it's going to go down. So let me record this, because I know what they do. Once I see stupid stuff like nobody in the building, 0 people in the building, I know to record this so that we can just upload it. It's not going to be a problem. Because what happens is they probably don't want me. I put Bill Gates' name in the title. He's an absolute criminal in my opinion. Absolute. One of the worst on this planet in my opinion. By controlling the WHO, and a lot of these softwares still are going, they're still regulated based off of the World Health Organization's guidelines. So when you type certain things into AI, if they see Bill Gates, they automatically reject it. So he's operating on another stratosphere, and I'm pretty sure his arrogance is through the roof. And I usually and normally I won't put his name in anything, because I know I'm going to get low views. But today I don't care. I don't care. I don't care if I get low views. I don't care. because I know you're artificially their orders. The way the framework is, they suppress the video in the first place. As soon as they add certain keywords to my title, I don't care. I'll upload it later, and the people will know the truth. Because it was this same type of suppression. Listen, let's keep it 1,000. We have a lot of sheeple amongst us. Even the ones who claim to be educated. I was over at Dr. Sonetta. No, he's not a doctor, but I like the ring of that. Sonetta. I might start calling him Dr. Sonetta. Yeah. I'll take a vote on it. However, there are some scholars over there that I do admire. Ankh being one of them. I admire Ankh's scholarship. However, it was very disappointing when he told me that RFK's book he was lying. I'm like, well, you're lying. Did you read the book? These guys are lying. I said, oh, man. You can't even give people information because they're stoic on what they believe. Never mind what you believe, bro. I want to give you guys some information. It's in the book, and I planned on listening to the book. But however, here's the situation. His book has like 5 sections for chapter 1. I would be lying if I said I knew exactly where it was at, and I'm not going to try to look for it with you guys. So what I'm going to do, where's it at? Oh, it's right here. Sorry about that. I know what they were talking about. So what I did is I plugged the information from RFK's book, The Real Dr. Fauci. I put that information into Gemini, and I said, listen, I told it the situation. I don't have time to try to find each chapter. I'm going to show you the chapters just so you know. I don't want you to think I'm some quack job up here. So let's go over here. These are the chapters right here. Okay? And we'll listen to some of them. We're going to start here today. But look, for chapter 1A, mismanaging pandemic, is hour and 5. They're all named the same thing. It's just that one is 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D. I'm not gonna put you through that. Also, we can find a section that I know is true. So I said, listen, Gemini, I need the part where he's talking about HQ being pulled from being an over-counter drug right before the pandemic. Do you know anything about this? Gemini came back with it for us. Ladies and gentlemen. Hold on 1 second. There we go. So that's where I'm going to start my show today. I do want to listen to David Icke. Hold on. Because he deserves me to stand up and get the books that give me a second. He deserves it. Now, I've had way more books by David Icke, but I'm sort of stupid when it comes to giving away books. I don't know why I do that. If I really want someone to know and understand, and I feel your vibe and you're genuine and you meet me on the right day, I'm going to give you the book. Straight up. Yo, take the book, bro. Just promise me you're going to read the book. So I gave away more books than anything. That right there is a young catfishing David. Don't try to find this guy now. He doesn't exist. All I'm saying is he doesn't look the same. David Icke has been writing books for years, man. Since I got out of high school. And I got out in 96. He was probably writing them before that. You can still get his books on audible.com. He's exhausted a lot of all the stuff Billy Carson and all these guys were talking. He was talking about years ago. Alex Jones years ago. He was talking about all of this stuff years ago. So this book here is called The Biggest Secret. Right? You can. He goes. I brought this book specifically when I was researching the Khazars. So. And I did a 12-part series on the Khazars. I took it down. I might put it back up. It's called The Synagogue of Satan. I might put it back up. He did this book here called... That's kind of how he looks now. This book here is called Global Conspiracy. I think I have another one of his books in my trunk somewhere. I'm pretty sure I do. I like him as a researcher. In my opinion, he does pretty thorough research. If you don't keep an open mind, some of the things he can say can be... It will hit you weird until you do some research on yourself on the topic, and then you're gonna find out. Oh, he was definitely in the vein. Today, though, I'll be playing one of his videos because he's going to talk about the suppression of certain drugs, and then Dr. Fauci pushing certain drugs. I think remdesivir or something like that. And forgive me if I'm not pronouncing it right. We'll get to that. So I'm just trying to let you know what we're going to talk about. However, before we even talk about that, let's get back to this. The French Ministry of Health situation as detailed in the book. Because remember, I asked Gemini AI what chapter. It's in chapter 1. Yo, bro, there's 5 parts to chapter 1. Which one? You know what? Just tell me about the situation. Cool. Bullet point 1. Decades of over-the-counter status. Michael Wilber's in the building. And you know something? That was the only person I hope didn't miss this show. I'm like, I hope Mike doesn't miss this. He's here. Which is strange. He's the first one. He's never the first one. Michael Wilber says, read Creating Wealth Through Debt by Xander and Wilber. Are you one of the authors? Are you pushing your own product on my show, Mike? It's okay. It's okay. All right. Let's read this book. Give me a second, you guys. Creating Wealth. Why did I think I've seen this book. All right, I'm going to read this book. Through Debt. Then Wilbur. All right, everyone listen up. This is so important. This is not even conspiracy theory. You can look up what we're about to go over. And this just blew my mind. You tell me if this is a coincidence or not. HCQ, hydroxychloroquine, had over-the-counter status for 50 years. For 50 years. in French pharmacies without requiring a doctor's prescription. It had a long-established safety profile, primarily used for malaria prevention, lupus, and rheumatoid arthritis. The pre-pandemic reclassification on January 13th, 2020, weeks before COVID-19 was declared a global health emergency by the World Health Organization, and before major outbreaks hit Europe, France's Minister of Health, Agnès Buzyn, signed an administrative decree. I apologize for that mishap. Administrative decree classified as poisonous substance. Let's just stop right there. I don't want to roll over that. I don't want to roll over that because I need you to understand the systematic effort that was taking place to collapse the world as we know it. So you had something that was being used for over 50 years. Coincidence that the health minister, before the pandemic is officially declared worldwide pandemic, who has the ability to declare this a worldwide pandemic? Of course, Bill Gates, being more than 50% donator to the World Health Economic Forum, right? We all know that more than 50% of anything, if you own more than 50%, you pretty much own whatever's happening, whatever's going on. The pre-pandemic reclassification on January 13th, 2020, weeks before COVID-19 was declared a global health emergency by the WHO, and before major outbreaks hit Europe, France Minister of Health, Agnès Buzyn, signed an administrative decree, classified as poisonous substance. The decree moved hydroxychloroquine to France's list 2 of poisonous substances. That's just the most craziest things I've ever heard. This administrative change instantly revoked its over-the-counter status and made it illegal to purchase without a prescription. Bananas. I tried to tell people this. RFK tried to. I learned this through RFK. Tried to tell people, nah, he's on the right track. People said, nah, he's a quack. He wants to bring back measles and why? Because he wants quality assurance. He wants to do genuine clinical testing to see if it's necessary. You see, you're already making money. The people who are selling these products are already making money, right? So anything that can affect the amount of bottles or the amount of product going out the door, then they're going to use their PR firm to fight against that. Now, if Robert gets his way and real genuine tests are done, testing the unvaccinated against the vaccinated, they don't do that, which is crazy, and they won't do it. They just refuse to do it. We know why. We're not stupid. It's just the same thing as Dr. Fauci taking the fifth. You're not stupid. This is why you're like, yo, he lied. How do you know he lied? You're basing your assumption that we are basing our assumption that he lied because he refuses to explain. He refuses to answer anything. And the only reason anybody would do that is if they had something to hide. So we're just taking it upon ourselves to say, okay, if that's the attitude you want to take, then you're a liar. So why wouldn't you do that when it comes to clinical trials? When it comes to clinical trials, you should test the vaccinated as well as the unvaccinated. If you're not doing that, then we ought to assume you have something to hide. It says political and regulatory context. Shortly after signing the decree, Agnes Buzzings resigned from her post as health minister in February 2020 to run for mayor of Paris. Damn. Cold-blooded. Kennedy notes that her husband, Yves Levy, was the former head of INSERM, the French National Institute of Health and Medical Research, which had international ties and funding conflicts related to global pharmaceutical initiatives. This is crazy. And they got the nerve to throw around that phrase, conspiracy theory, so loosely. The core argument in the book, Kennedy uses this timeline to argue that European and U.S. public health regulators were taking coordinated, preemptive administrative steps to restrict access to cheap, off-patent generic medications right before the official onset of the pandemic. And now I believe this. I believed it before. But it's just Dr. Fauci taking the fifth. Thank you, sir, for substantiating everything we already knew, that you was a goddamn liar. Thank you. Many people died, by the way. And there are some like these politicians who claim they want some type of justice.
Tonight, Louisiana Attorney General Liz Murrill is joining a multi-state investigation into former top government scientist Dr. Anthony Fauci. Murrill says Louisiana will work with attorneys generals in Alabama and Florida to look into whether Fauci committed any potential offenses that could be pursued in state courts. The announcement comes after a Senate committee hearing where Fauci invoked his Fifth Amendment rights when questioned about the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic. Murrill explained her reasons for joining the investigation in a statement. Here's what she had to say.
Let's stop right there before we hear what she has to say. You know the most frustrating part? I might try to pull that up. I think I have it on this computer. The SARS, the one they did at Johns Hopkins, the video. I gotta find it. This is when you really just stop for a second and look back at all of this, is one of the most craziest things of a group of people on this planet getting together to really do something that they know ahead of time is gonna, some people will die from this. They know this ahead of time. So the only reason you can formulate in your head is like, okay, why did you know people are gonna die, but you still did it? So you either did it for money, but how much money, and then how much is money's worth if everyone is affected by this, right? It's like the idea that someone would create a zombie, create a disease that gives off zombie effects, right? Which, if it happens, they kind of told us that it was going to happen. Because every story from The Walking Dead to I Am Legend, they all include, even World War Z with Brad Pitt, they all include some type of scientist that does something stupid. Will Smith was like, I can fix this. So it kind of tells me, all right, are you telling me this is gonna happen? But what if it couldn't happen? Why put yourself at risk? This is crazy. They had a simulated reenactment of what was going to happen once this plague was released. And damn, if you ever watch this video, they did it at Johns Hopkins University. They really pretty much stayed on point the whole time. Even down to the point where they knew people were going to push back on the mask and the PPE, everything, right? So they already knew what to do, right? They already knew we were going to get employers. We're going to put employers in a predicament to where their employees have to follow the guideline or they're going to be let go. This is crazy. Many doctors was delicensed. Some we think were killed. We don't know. We don't know. They just started disappearing, but people do die on Earth. That's a part of life. Coincidence? Crazy.
Quote, Fauci lied. Louisiana and Missouri deposed Dr. Fauci. At the time, he claimed to not recall many key details of his own actions, and now we are discovering contemptuous records he kept. Louisiana will join Alabama and Florida in investigating Fauci and whether he committed any other offenses that could be pursued in other state courts, end quote. Governor...
I used to talk about galactic history on this channel. I haven't talked about it in a while because I be talking over people's heads. I don't like talking over people's heads too much. Just talking out loud because I may be aware of something other people aren't. If I'm teaching, that's cool. But if I'm just talking and talk, galactic history has not really spread wide on this planet yet. It will. I think it will. The more this conversation about UAPs gets opened up, right? By then, I'll probably look back and be like, I was talking about that 15 years ago. But I think the governments, not just the United States, many governments, they want to unfold the idea of extraterrestrials being on this planet slowly, unpack it how they want it. Fine, that's cool. So, channel like mine, what I've been doing is slowly just trying to get people over here and then slowly introduce them to the idea of the knowledge. Some kick it back immediately. Yo, that sounds crazy. You know what's not crazy? No, you know what is crazy? I can say something. They say, yo, you're a quack job. You sound crazy. The government says it. They believe them. The same people that lie to you over and over and over again. They say it. You believe them. Second ago, I was talking about aliens and spacecrafts and all that. People were making fun. Yo, he's over there talking about aliens in outer space. Government says, yo, we're going to declassify everything. More and more scientists are coming out. Yeah, there's life. There's extraterrestrial life. And now, mums is the goddamn word. Why? Because you was wrong. Do you feel like an asshole? You shook. Why should you? Because you do the same thing over and over again, which is believe the government that keeps lying to you and you expect a different result. You, sir, you, ma'am, are an asshole. I just came here this Sunday morning to tell you that. Never mind God! I came to tell you you're an asshole. And you can leave now. Thank you for coming. Oh, before you go, tell you this. Keep it up. Keep it up, and you're going to find what you're looking for. Yeah. Now that these bums have left, yeah, fuck them. Who needs them? The viewership could go down to 0, goddammit. And I'm going to stand on mine. Jackasses, the whole lot of them. Now, I want to go over to my boy, David Icke. Because he was kicking knowledge. Oh, he's smoking.
Mr. Fauci said this.
Need for yet again another boost, in this case, a 4th dose boost for an individual receiving the mRNA. And then the issue of vaccines actually, at least with regard to SARS-CoV-2, can do better than nature. When people are vaccinated, they can feel safe that they are not going to get infected. We want to make sure people keep their masks on. I think the idea of taking masks off, in my mind, is really not something we should even be considering. It is, as we've said, a pandemic and an outbreak of the unvaccinated.
So here's a question. How many people have died and had their health destroyed for life, their life shortened, because of what this psychopath told them and assured them was safe and effective? And the only way to protect themselves from the deadly COVID-19. But with Fauci, it's not just vaccine.
Talk that talk.
Fauci supported lockdown, indeed demanded lockdown, which has caused enormous death and destruction.
Yeah.
As a result of untreated conditions and undiagnosed conditions, as well as all the psychological mayhem.
Stop right there. Psychological mayhem is crazy. I felt so bad for the elementary kids. Because they're really hopeless, right? High school students aren't going to listen to what you're saying anyway. Does a high school teacher really want to put up with some fucking trolling ass high school kids all day long? Right? So it's like, Mr. Johnson, please put back on your mask. He pulls it down a little bit below the nose. He's not listening. You're going to spend 20 minutes telling him to put back on his mask? 5 more kids are fucking pulling him down, not listening to you. Eventually, you're like, I'm going to wear mine because I'm an asshole. And if you guys catch COVID, don't say I didn't drink. Shut up and teach the class, idiot. This guy didn't even bring a mask, and he has a shirt on his face, and you're not saying anything to him. Well, at least he has something over his face. What's the fucking efficacy rate for any of this? No science at all. Telling people to trust the science. I'm talking about a straight circus, and nobody had the ability to say anything because the way the consequences fell were mandated from high above all the way down below, right? So if your job said we follow the WHO guidelines, you follow the fucking WHO guidelines. God knows they were crazy. But these babies, man, they got to keep on the mask, not just being uncomfortable. If I couldn't barely breathe, I know what they felt like. But guess what? These are little precious babies that are trained to respect and, we don't want to say it, but fear adults, right? Because the adult says something, hey, I got to do it because the adult said it. Put back on your mask. They put it on. could barely fucking breathe thanks to this jackass. Now, do we honestly know the damage that was done through the lack of however much oxygen that their bodies were used to, they were no longer getting on a consistent basis? We don't. People talk about follow the science. Hey, jackasses, this is part of science. This is part of science. We don't know the ratio of oxygen that's being denied or what effect it is having on their still growing bodies. We don't know. But because this fucking leprechaun said it, the risk is worth it. Now you found out he lied, and you should feel like a fucking jackass. Yes, you can leave my show now. Fuck you. Yeah. I don't want you over here, and I don't want your subscription to think about it twice. Unfollow me, you fucking jackass. No, because it's people like you that make the world a bad place. You see something going down and you're scared to even say something. You just follow the guy in the white coat. How many of you guys have seen American Primeval? Kenny Mack was good, man. I think it was American Primeval, which was a great 3-part series, right? They need a part 2 to that. That show was fucking amazing. And I think I'm talking about the right one. Anyways, this is when I learned about the Amish Mafia. Not the Amish. They were the Latter-day Saints. Latter-day Saints was out here wilding out. They was out here killing other whites, acting like they were Indians. They was wilding. They was wilding. You had one instance with this group of white outlaws, and they always include some type of Mexican vigilante amongst them. I don't know why they do that. To make it seem like, it wasn't all the white men. But see, Pedro was with us. Jesus was there. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. This group of white vigilantes riding around America on horseback, terrorizing any and everybody that they come across, right? We steal your stuff. This is a dangerous time in America. There's no phones. There's no, I'm going to call the police. You call the police, I'm 8 states away. Give a fuck. I changed my name. So some people they're fresh from the Netherlands. And they run across this posse. So the head guy's like, I'm going to let you live, but I'm going to need to sleep with one of your wives tonight. Now, what you could decide is which one of your wives it's going to be. And he slept with one of their wives that night. But he asked him in the morning, why didn't you even try, bro? Why didn't you try to fight back, get hit with a gun, get shot? Right? You was afraid I was gonna kill you? You're not afraid to live with your wife knowing You allowed this to happen without putting up a fucking fight? Yeah, these people should feel like assholes. Remind them every chance you get. You didn't even put up a fight. It was just like, no, they said it, so it's true. It kind of goes back to the guy who, World War II. They were catching people and handing them a shovel and telling them to dig a grave. Who do you think this grave is for, bro? You're trying to have good conversation with him? Because he gave you a cigarette to shovel your grave? You do it. Thinking, okay, we're done now, man. Any more work? Any more work? That's it, champ. We're fresh out of work. I can assure you that. At least for you. You know, we read history and we read all of these atrocities and figured, I guess I'm lucky. As if we're not going to. No, I think every civilization is going to have their time period where they go through something where you're going to have to piss or get off the pot eventually, right? It's no longer, it's not affecting me. It has hit home now. And it hits home in different ways. So for others, it's more abrupt, like people kicking in your fucking door. That didn't happen yet, yeah. At least not for us. It has happened for some fucking people. Specifically the Japanese and the Asians. But we forget because they don't teach that type of shit in social studies no more. Could it happen again? Sure. However, there's a passive situation where it doesn't happen exactly like that. They kick in your door. But the way they do it, it feels like you're definitely overstepping your boundaries. This is definitely not something I'm used to. And we are creatures of habit, so, you wake up, you have your place where you like to get your coffee in the morning. You understand? You show up, you turn on your YouTube, you want to watch some Jamel Saladin, you grab your weed. Shout out to Kenny Mack, he's rolling up as we speak. And before you ask, yes, it's good. He only smokes the good stuff. None of that shit you was getting from me. I had Ace for $10. It wasn't going to take you to the moon. But I'm going off your budget. You understand? Going off your budget. You got $10. What do you want from me? Did it get the job done for now? You think I'm going to get out here and get over budget? Fucking around with you? You only like to smoke that good every once in a while, bro. You show me you like that, then I'll step it up for you. Other than that, you think I'm going to extend myself to 1,400 a P? When I could do 4? Are you crazy? And you still cop the A for $10. So what do you get? Anyway, we're creatures of habit. You get in your car, you roll down the block, you go into your favorite place for coffee, right? You don't want nothing to change. Even where you park at work. If you try to get the same parking spot. There's unassigned parking, yet you try to park in the same spot. If anybody parks there, you get pissed off. This stuff got no names on this. But you know. Right? We're creatures of habit. All that change for us at the job and all that, none of that was good. Psychological damage indeed.
That's come from it. And then there was remdesivir. This was the drug that psychopath Fauci mandated for use with people who had tested positive for COVID with a PCR test, not testing for the virus. Remdesivir, he knew, was shown to cause multiple organ failure.
Damn.
The few trials that it had in relation to Ebola were utterly disastrous and catastrophic. He knew that.
This is crazy. Don't worry, I got more information. I got the RFK book. I don't care if YouTube notifies me later and say, you're not going to get paid for this video because you used Robert Kennedy's book. I don't care. The people are going to know the truth today.
But he mandated it for use on, quote, COVID patients. And what happened? They died.
Damn. You know, I don't have to pause so much and interrupt, but I don't want him to talk so fast that you're not listening. So what have we learned? He mandated a drug that he knew the side effects were deadly because they were malfunctioning our organs. Now, if you were one of those assholes that like to ask people, oh, so you're a non-vaxxer? Fuck you. That's number one. Never said that. Because you're coming off like a jerk off. Because you want all of us to comply so you can get back to your regular routine. That's not how this flies. That's not how this flies. Civilizations are abruptly and destructively uprooted. This is history. This is life on this planet. And at any given moment, it could go from sugar to shit because you have to protect what is yours. We don't know the date. As progressive as you think we might be, we're still pretty primitive, and there's plenty of people who belong to esoteric fraternities that still believe in astrology, and they apply different systems to when they're going to do something, different numerology dates and all type of stuff that you wouldn't understand. Do we think that 9/11 happened by coincidence, or was it planned for September 11th, 9/11? It sounds coincidental.
And the main reason they died is that it causes kidney failure. And when that happens, the abdominal cavity starts to fill up with water, including the lungs, and people die because they cannot breathe. And remdesivir provided the first wave of COVID in the United States, which was actually death by remdesivir.
I want to stop right there, and I want to remind you that I started off my show by telling you hydroxychloroquine was pulled after 50 years of use from being an over-the-counter drug in France and being reassigned as a poisonous substance. right before the pandemic. You gotta ask yourself, is this coincidence? I'm not asking it with you. Number one reason is because I'm not a jackass. You have to ask yourself, if you don't have the answer already, is this a coincidence? I don't have that type of time to waste. I'm doing a podcast.
In Britain, the health secretary, a guy called Matt Hancock, was at the same time ordering unprecedented amounts of an end-of-life drug called midazolam, which is used by some American states in the execution process.
Jesus.
And it was prescribed to old people in care homes, etc., in unprecedented amounts and doses that killed enormous numbers of old people.
Damn.
And what did Hancock and company call that in the UK? The first wave of COVID. And you know what Matt Hancock is doing now?
Don't tell me what Matt Hancock is doing yet. I just want to reiterate that this exemplifies the joint effort to collapse civilization on this planet. The bigger question I would ask with you is, who is they? Who are they? Who's the they that are doing this, that are unconcerned that these decisions would affect them? Who is the they? Why? How could you release something like this on this planet? And it had to be released with intention because of the steps that you took to purposely make sure that people would not survive the outbreak. You did everything opposite of making sure they would survive in a healthy way, which tells me, okay, this is consciously being done. But who are you that you don't care that these human beings are dying? Or if they die? Well, in my opinion, that's when the real conspiracy stuff starts to come out of me, because I don't think these people are Homo sapiens sapien. Now, I know you're going to see, oh, that's crazy. Until the government says, oh, we do have evidence that there's different forms of humanoids on this planet, and not everyone is a homo. Then you will be like, yo, I was watching that show. Fuck you. Tried to tell you. I know this. Whoever they are, they want the Homo sapiens off this planet. Or they want us in very small numbers. In my opinion. Let me say that. My opinion.
He's pushing for a change in the law to make assisted dying legal. But with Fauci, it's not just COVID, and it's not just the vaccine.
What?
My God, the history of this man is stunning.
Talk about it, God.
It was Fauci who was at the front of the promotion of the myth, because it is, of HIV and its alleged ability to cause AIDS.
Yeah.
And again, how did they know you had HIV? Something, again, they've never proved to exist. Well, you test positive with a test not testing for it, the PCR test. And what did Fauci then do? What did he say should happen? Remember COVID? When you tested positive for HIV with a test not testing for it, that you should take a drug called AZT. AZT was brought onto the market as a chemotherapy drug. And it was then removed from use, wait for it, because it was considered too toxic. Can you imagine how toxic it must be to be taken out of use for chemotherapy, given the level of toxicity that by definition involves? But when HIV, the scam was played, just like the COVID scam, Fauci said to people who tested positive with a test not testing for it, you must take AZT. And what does AZT do? Provable. It destroys the immune system.
Agents are a new kind of software. Endless inputs and non-deterministic outputs. Build them the old way, and...
What is AIDS? It is a destroyed immune system.
Right. Stop right there. Stop right there. I often talk about this book, but I don't really get to talk about what's inside. So, in Appendix C, page 377, there's an ID tag that won't get lost, right? This is in 1990. Every time I hear 1990, I always think about the Chubb Rock lyric. 1990, Chubb Rock jumps up on the scene in the pocket full of green. I'm bringing this up because let me try to explain this. In IT, every device is called a node. Every device is called a node. Now, all a network is resources and nodes within the realm of one area, right? But one area is defined by borders. So your house can be an area. There's borders. Then the next house is going to be distinguished by borders. Whatever the borders are, whether it's a line, an invisible line, whatever. But for your house, you guys will have a network. And that's all the devices, which you're going to call a node, and the resources for those nodes, right? This is a network. The users. But then you have to later on be able to distinguish what is a user, what is the device, what is a resource, right? So this is when your organizational unit, all those are folders, right? You, as a human being, you're going to go in users. You're not going to go in devices because you're not a device yet. Why am I explaining? Why did I give you that quick class? I gave you that quick class because we're entering a different dispensation. You can hit the like button anytime you want. Just don't stare at me. Hit the fucking like button, bro. We're entering a different dispensation, different time period. But for those of us that follow astrology, we're not alarmed at this because we knew that Aquarius, the age of Aquarius, would usher in this transformation. We knew this because it did promise this very experience that we are going through at the moment. That being said, there's an NWO, a New World Order, coming amongst us, and it will be digital. So what we're witnessing from 2020 to 2030 is a partnership between the World Economic Forum and the United Nations taking place. Now, this partnership is not symbolic. This is not a metaphoric or allegorical partnership. It is a legal partnership that you can actually look up. It's been signed by both organizations. It's called Agenda 2030. Agenda 2030. Within 10 years, they have to hit certain milestones that will lead us into a new digital world. That a lot has to take place, because we're talking about old systems being decommissioned and new systems being built simultaneously. This is not a small feat. It's very complicated. It's even more complicated when you're not trying to let everyone know exactly what's happening, and then life has to continue on. One of the things that you already know is going to take place is digital money. The fiat money has to go from tangible to intangible. It will remain fiat. It will be digital. Cash will be physical cash, right? But you're like, you're used to it because they already kind of conditioned you. So you're used to your money already going to the bank, and now you can feel easy at the light because you don't have to lie to the fucking beggars and the bums anymore. You're like, oh. Right? You didn't want to give the dollar anyway. But you feel good because you actually didn't lie. So you're telling yourself, no, if I had it, I usually give. You know what I'm saying? I don't got it on me today. Shut up. You never got it on you like that. Because a lot of us don't carry cash already. So you're not even alarmed about that part. However, it gets way more sinister. That's nothing. Your bank, your money going to, you think that's the mark of the beast? That is not the mark of the beast. In my opinion, and I say this with straight confidence, I'm only saying in my opinion because I don't feel like whipping out all type of evidence to explain this to you. So in my opinion, the next step is to have the money go to you, your profile. The bank will be, for lack of a better word, atmospheric, right? There would be a bank in name and existence somewhere, but it's kind of like the cloud. Did you know what the cloud? Well, you probably don't know what the cloud is still, right? But when they first started saying the cloud, now you know it has something to do with all of these warehouse, these data centers, as they like to call them. Data centers. Yeah, it's a bunch of hard drives that will store this information, and it will be a continuous connection between the web servers and these hard drives. Information will be there. You don't know where it is. You don't know what center you're using. You don't know where it is. And sometimes, to tell you the truth, it's not in one data center. It could be in several different data centers at one time. So, for not to get complicated, they just be like, yo, the cloud. It works for you. All you need to know is, yo, can I log on to get my stuff in the cloud? At the end of the day, as we're going through this transformation, they have to turn the straw man you into a digital identity, from the rooter to the tutor. However, this idea works better if the real you was able to be tracked. We'll get back to this in a second because we're talking about AIDS, and we only got on this topic because I seen something about implants, and I want to explain to you it's not going to be the rice chip that you was told for 20 years. We're past that. We're no longer in Kansas. Now, you guys are familiar with this. This is called a laptop. Think about this laptop. And one of the things I just told you, we call this also a node. It's a device. We call it a node when it goes on a network. And there's going to be, once it's on a network, there's two ways to identify what this is. Whatever hardware this is. I can identify it by, one, the IP address. The IP address is the number assigned to it on the network. Right? So, you have a network, your house, right? You're given internet by whoever. Your cable company. Hey, you want internet? Yeah. How much you want to pay? Never mind that. I get $30 a month. Yeah, sure. Boom, you got internet. Oh. Now you want to add some devices. Even your home internet, you could go and look up which device, which number is assigned to that device, right? You go to the Walmart, you go get a wireless printer, whatever like that. Everybody's happy. You got guests coming over. What's the Wi-Fi password? Every time they log onto your network, they get assigned a number. We call this an IP address. However, that's just one way to identify what's on the network. There's another number with these devices that don't never change. IP address could change. I could assign it something else. Right? You could unassign, reassign. You could log off from the Wi-Fi, the network, come back, and you could have a different IP address. There's another number that's never going to change. And that is called a MAC address. You can hit that like button whenever you feel like it. I'm teaching you something. Most devices, if not all devices, have a MAC address. That's never going to change. And I forget the acronym, but if I had to take a guess, it would be something like a manufacturer address control or something like that. Doesn't matter. That number never changes. Now, it is my opinion that some of the effort that we just witnessed from the ending months in 2019 all the way to 2024 were, and still, it's not even over, but we started to see this 2019. It was efforts to see how can we get this MAC address on people, which some you religious people you're going to call the mark of the beast. Because the thing is, at some point, people will not be able to buy or sell. At some point. If I had to take a guess when that time will be, I would confidently say no time in the next 7 years. But stranger things have happened. And I'm not even using my intuition. I'm just using my logic. And I'm saying this. If I use my intuition, I might get a whole nother different number. But I don't have time for psychic exercises right now. I'm trying to teach a class and motivate you to hit the like button. Have you ever heard of an invention called WO2020060606? If you haven't, don't worry about it because I'm going to show it to you right now really quick. The main thing you need to know about this patent and this idea is, yes, Bill Gates is involved, but two, damn, it's cold-blooded. Actually, I like to sing that when I say it. Cold-blooded. The main thing about this patent is that it mines for Bitcoin through human activity. Meaning you don't have to do anything but just live and breathe. As I live and breathe, just live and breathe. That's all you got to do. And your body will be complicit in mining Bitcoin. How do you even get that technology in a person? Mandate would be the best way. Remember when Moderna first started? They was all hyped up and energized off all the money they was about to make and people that was about to die. And they slapped on their website that this was a operating system. And I guess they spoke to some lawyers. Like, what in tarnation and seven hells are you guys doing over there? I just got several phone calls that it says this is an operating system. Dab nabbit, take it down, Jet. Take it down. They took it down. Now before people go screenshots and it got crazy. I know when I read that shit, I was more surprised that they actually wrote it. I already knew what they were doing, in my opinion. Hold on, let me get that. WO, there we go. Came up right away. Let me just show you guys what's going on. Oh, what's going on? I'm just doing this for you guys, maybe new to the channel. You understand? You may have to rewatch this depending when you're coming into my show. And by the way, when you come in, you show respect, you hit the like button. If you're not a jackass, you subscribe. If you are a jackass, just stay the term that you're going to stay and watch and then leave. Do not hit the subscribe button, please. I don't need more jackasses over here. All right. Abstract. Human body activity associated with a task provided to a user may be used in mining process of cryptocurrency system. A server may provide a task to a device of a user which is communicatively coupled to the server. A sensor communicatively coupled to or comprised in a device of the user may sense body activity of the user. Body activity data may be generated based on the sensed body activity of the user. The cryptocurrency system communicatively coupled to the device of the user may verify if the body activity data satisfies one or more conditions. Stop! Because I was a teacher at one point in time, and I kind of know what you can tolerate before you say, I don't understand this shit. Where's those cat videos that I like? What I learned to do very young when reading paragraphs I truly didn't understand Not saying this is terribly hard to understand, but I just may be better at not processing certain words and processing certain keywords. Certain keywords: activity, sensor, user, device. Those are my keywords to help me understand, what are you saying here? I'm saying a sensor will tell us if you have an activity. You being the user, it's going to send data back to the server. Well, goddamn, you can do that. Oh, we can do that and more. You have no idea. George Church was able to download a digital book to DNA, to a gram of DNA. What was it? Over 70 million times? However, it wasn't how many times that impressed me or even caught my attention. 70 million is a lot, and yes, it does warrant some attention. However, it was the other details of the download. He not only downloaded the book, but he downloaded JPEG images. This is where things get interesting. And software code, programming, JavaScript to human DNA. We are no longer in Kansas anymore, Dorothy. So, this is why they would prefer you to be distracted by Will Smith walking up on stage, pimp slapping other comedians. Keep my name, my wife's name out your mouth. Right? Some people have to play their part. Diddy, you gotta get taken down. What did I do? Well, you did rub man cum on your nipples. That's not a crime. Today it is, sucker. Bah! 50 months. Right? You get a bunch of people talking about a topic. You do ridiculous stuff like throw a man in jail for 50 months for rubbing man cum on his nipples. Yeah, it is flagrant. It's nothing I would do. It just wasn't a crime. And that's the crazy part. And nobody stood up for him, which is standing up for yourself. Why? Because we seen a video of him punt kicking Cassie in the fucking stomach and the ribs and all this silly shit. And these two were together after that, by the way, right? This is fucking fiend. They're both on drugs. What do you want from them? They do this shit all the time. It just happened to be recorded that day. You say, no, that's not to be forgiven. That's not how you treat women. Now all of a sudden you're an expert on fucking morality and ethics. This is the guy, he's in the same industry where they run around calling women bitches like the grass grows outside. Yeah, this bitch this and this bitch that. Come on, man. What? Are we really doing this? Oh, it's not just the guys. You got females that, I'm a badass bitch. What? What are you talking about? You're the queen mother. You give life to this planet. How'd you let them convince you that you're a fucking dog? It's rhetorical. You don't have to write an essay. I don't really want a response. I'm just trying to get you to think a little bit that we have strayed from the path. So nobody stepped up because they didn't want to be affiliated with Diddy. Like, But in all actuality, he shouldn't have went to jail. But you couldn't say, they couldn't say that. I said that shit. Free that man. You did not charge him with the right thing. If you wanted to charge him for battery, that's what you should have did. But you charged him for some trafficking women. Are you shitting me? She paid for the services and enjoyed it. She got her money's worth. He was in the corner being a freak. Super freak. The super freak, hey, yeah. We didn't understand that once we allow them to do that to him, then they can do it. If they could rescind on their responsibilities to uphold our rights, legal rights, to somebody else, and we just sit back and say, yeah, do that shit, fuck that guy. You don't think they coming back to do that shit to you? So it was always about the principle for me. But every time I brought it up, yeah, but he kicked women. You go along with that? Listen, what is this conversation about? I'm not talking about a punt kick here. But that's neither here nor there. It's all one conversation, though. Because as we allowed things to go, meaning our processes, like going to war without the approval of Congress, as we allow these things to mutate, sometimes you can't put the genie back in the bottle. And you're thinking, it doesn't affect me. It does affect you. And if you have that slight voice in your head that says like, I'm just going to play cool and no one's going to see me, none of that shit is going to work. You're going to play cool and you're going to die along with everybody else. You're going to be affected along with everybody else. So when I say life is dynamic, I don't think you understand what I'm saying. I hope you're not thinking what Jimmy Walker was saying in Good Times. Like, I'm not saying life is dynamite. Like, that's not what I mean by dynamic. I mean changing. That's what it means. Like, it means that it is constantly changing. And the only way to keep up with life, at least on this planet, is to adapt to the change. And we usually call that change evolution. So, always thinking adapt and change. Evolve. When they evolve, I got to adapt to the evolution. It's not about whether you want to or not. God bless my grandfather. Not that I believe in his God or yours. But it is a thing to say. And I do miss him and love him. When AOL came out, oh my God, how he wanted to show off that he knew what was going on. Those fucking bullshit DVDs Bill Gates used to send to the house. Oh, he couldn't wait for the mail to come. Slap that bitch in the... You've got mail, huh? He's up there with the specs on. He's just happy he adapted to email. Who knows where he would be today if he was still alive? He'd probably have fucking agents running around here. He was tapped in. He was in the know. Huh? I'm pretty sure I would have came over the house. He would have told me he has several AIs working on shit. That's good. Adapt. You're going to need this. In the streets, we say you're going to sink or swim, which is coincidentally how I learned how to swim. My Uncle Charlie from North Carolina fucking threw me in the water. He asked me, you know how to swim, boy? No, you do now. Threw me in the fucking water. Threw my brother, too. I guess I did learn how to swim. If this is how you're teaching kids how to swim, good God. But you either sink or fucking swim. And he meant that shit. Anything could happen that day. What the fuck, bro? If you're watching my show right now, I'm not asking you if life is changing on the fly. You're only watching it because somehow the universe led you here to hear this information that you're hearing. So it's not a question that I was asking you. I'm here to remind you that life is changing. I'm only giving you a little bit more understanding than the normal channel would give you. A little bit more elaborative, but yet it works. You're getting the gist of it. In 2016, at the European Global Summit, there were two things that were brought up during that summit. One of them was nanotechnology. I used to have the agenda on my computer. God knows where it is now. Don't get me to speculating. Things got removed. I had things, they were gone now, but I had the agenda for the 2016 European Summit. The reason I kept this agenda is because I wanted to continue to point out to people that the visitors and the guests and the attendees were fascinated by two things: nanotechnology and the use of graphene, period, across several sectors of industry, one being the health industry. Nanotechnology and graphene. What is so special about graphene? Graphite is natural. Graphene, how on the other hand, thing about it is you can't patent something that's natural, right? So you can't patent onyx, you can't patent pearl, like diamonds and shit, unless you do something that is, if you alter it in some type of way, then it's no longer natural. You did something to synthetically alter it. Now you can patent the alterations. So there's something called graphite, which is natural, but there's something called graphene, which is a synthetic alteration of graphite. And the inventors were able to, it's carbon based, number one. Which coincidentally, so is your body. The lifeline that carries the signals through your body, that's all carbon. It's all carbon based. This is why they call carbon the backbone of life. I think carbon is the sixth element. You can check. I could be wrong. Probably am. I can check right now if I wasn't. Just ask Gemini, hey, what number element is carbon? But it doesn't. It's not important what number it is on the elemental scale. What's more important is well, it would have to be number 6, right? I believe it is. It uses 6 protons, 6 neutrons. I believe that the electrons are going to be based off of the protons. So you're going to get a 666 across the board. But they call it the carbon-12 anyway. There's many things that are created out of carbon. Diamonds. It's a different shape. I'm no scientist, right? But the structures, they got different labels for things, right? These scientists, they know all the fancy jargon talk like isotopes. That means there's a variation of the same element. An isotope is a variation of the same element. So you got carbon-12, you got carbon-13, and you got carbon-14, which is radioactive. I don't know what number graphene falls under. I just know. I see you guys making comments. I'll look at the comments in a second. I just know the invention of this damn graphene is so impressive, right? Because it's stronger than diamond. It's thinner than a human hair. It's flexible and transparent. The number one attribute of this element that gives it value is that it is highly conductive. Highly conductive. I need you to pick up what I'm putting down. Your actual body has a lot of use for carbon, and then they discovered that a certain isotope of this element carbon can be utilized because of its attributes and its qualities. And if used in microscopic amounts, it just might logically and rationally be able to, if it doesn't kill the human, but logically, if we put a certain amount in them and the body doesn't reject it, then we should be able to communicate due to the high conductivity attribute with that individual person to give that person a MAC address. If you're just coming in, you don't know what a MAC address is, you're going to have to rewatch this. Because right now, it's not even me talking. I'm getting all of this from, you understand? Sometimes it happens like that. I don't even be here. I just be here. Really, I'm like this. I just let it take over. Good for you, but you here today, though. So, the number one question at the 2016 European Summit was, are you ready for the number one question before we get back into David Icke and Robert Kennedy? You ready for the number one question? I'm going to read some of these comments. Number one question was, how much graphene can be put inside of a person before it's detrimental? That was the number one question. Okay, we got Steve Dubs in the house. And again, this is why I like when people come to my show, because sometimes you get people that know more than you about the topic, right? So he was just letting us know 14 is how they check for life on other planets. He says that's man-made. Correct. Graphene is man-made. Graphene has been purposed for a space elevator. Also, silk. Dub facts. This is true. Many people right now, including myself, have already looked into making graphene clothes. They're not going to tell you about it. I have nothing to hide because I learned that people are going to only do what they want. You could tell somebody your idea. Are they going to do it? Are they going to steal your idea? No, they're not. You think I'm the fucking first person to think about this? I'm not. I'm just going to do it the way I'm going to do it. So, Billy Carson is also making graphene clothing. Many other people. And first of all, we're far past graphene clothing if they're trying to put it inside you, right? That's what they're working on right now. In my opinion, because I have to be careful with my words, when the morticians were finding that white clog in the veins, I don't think this was irrelevant. For some reason, I think it has something to do with the attempt to make us more conductive and yet keep us alive. Right? So as they put up these towers, and we can probably, I don't think we're going to go past, even though they say we're at 11G right now, you got to understand that at some point, these towers will affect our physical, right? It will, and they probably won't let us know the data that affecting people until there's lawsuits, and they're going to push it to the limits. I think it's way past 5G, but was there any effects of putting up all these? There will be if you keep putting up 5G towers in close proximity. But you have to, I want you to understand when they talk about putting up the infrastructure, you're probably thinking, oh, that's for the data centers only. You're fixated on data centers and you don't even have any idea you're included on the network as a node who they would like to keep track of all the time, because we're building a new system here. So not only can we check your health, your oxygen levels, all of that. Good. When it gets to that point, it could get scary, right? Because especially with the CRISPR-Cas9 and them being able to edit your DNA, if they can do it and they can edit it on the fly, good God, it's too much control, right? So if you got to start paying oxygen dues and all that other stuff, we're cooked. By then I will be dead. Hopefully not respawn to this planet. This planet is cooked. Absolutely cooked. Okay, I need my peepers. I don't have them. Give me a second, Steve. Carbon 12. I was talking about the... Okay. That's man-made? Wow. I didn't know that, Steve. Okay. Damn. It's not just man-made, of course. It's naturally occurring, but high levels is not likely unless their civilization goes to... Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you for coming over, bro. Whoa. You just blew my mind with that last bit of information. I'm definitely going to go look that up. All right. Let's get back to David Icke for a second, and then I want to play you some audio from Robert Kennedy's book, chapter 1, section 2, right? That talks about the effort amongst many people, the scientists and the lawmakers, to, let's just say, do something conspicuous. I guess we'll come to our own determination what they were trying to do individually. Let me get back to David Icke. He was cooking, by the way, in this video, if you haven't watched it already.
Think remdesivir that caused the respiratory response that Fauci and company called COVID-19. Well, AZT and its effect on the immune system.
That's what I was talking about. Sorry, we can't get back to you yet, David. I only went on that rant because I opened up the book to page 377 and behold the pale horse, and it was talking about ID tags in the 1990s. Flip over to page 378 and 379. 379 says Department of Defense appropriations for 1970. Hearings, subcommittee of a committee of appropriations, research, development, test, evaluation. Jesus Christ. Hold on. Don't nobody go nowhere. Don't nobody go nowhere. Because they're talking about AIDS. This is why he was a American hero. But before we even get to that, I want you to take a look at 378. Big Brother. Actually, I can pull this book up so I don't have to go through all of this. Give me a second. Let me just pull it up. And what you do is you go to behold the pale horse, but you got to spell horse correctly, and then you type in Internet Archive. That's what you do. And then it says it's going to be one of these bad boys. Let's just go with the first one. There you go. You understand? Why go through the unnecessary nonsense when I could just show you right here? Now, sometimes the problem is they don't have every page. So what we're going to do is just go ahead to go to 376. See? Their 379 is different from mine. It's okay. Let's just kind of see where we're at. Let's not give up that easy, because I want you to get the information. Let's not give up that easy. Let me get my glasses back on. Now let's just go back to the beginning of whatever chapter this is. So this is chapter 17. All right. Okay, 16. We're close. Don't nobody go nowhere. I think we're really close. Yep, I seen all of that. So we got to keep going down in the other direction. Yeah, he has a lot of stuff about aliens in this book. But I want to get past that. Yep. We're close. Like 2 more pages. Yep. We're close. Don't nobody go nowhere. We're close. 2 more pages. Right, I'm on that page right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 more pages. 12 more pages. Boom. That's the page I was talking about. Of course, it would be right side up. Okay. All right, we found it. Everybody calm down. Now, that's what I was just talking about. Do they have the date on there? Yeah. Pacific Sun, May 4th, 1990. So somebody wrote in here 1990, which is the same thing I was thinking. So this plan to tag everyone is not new. However, we're way past rice chip size tags, right? That's for the movies, Jack. Stick around with that if you want to. Now, remember that MAC address I was telling you about? I see something right here on paragraph 3. I hate to lose you reading all of this nonsense, but let's just read this right here. When Tammy Aiden of Navajo found 2 collars half buried in a muddy hole under her backyard fence, her heart dropped. Both of her dogs, Sandy and a 5-year-old shepherd mixed with Buddy and Holly, recently adopted from the Marine Humane Society, had dug a hole under the fence, squirming out of their collars in the process. This sounds like it's made up, and headed for the hills. No, they didn't. They did not do that, especially if they were treated good. This did not happen. Aiden searched everywhere, placed lost dog posters throughout the county, checked with the Marine and Sonoma Humane Society every day, and even hired a private eye for the pets to help them track down. After 5 days, Sandy showed up on his own. You're goddamn right, because dogs are smart and they know where to go get food, and they'll be back. His pads bloody and worn. Jesus. But Buddy Holly was nowhere to be found. A few days later, a couple of hikers found a stray miniature Pincher roaming aimlessly in a fire around the Navajo hills. They brought the frightened dog to the shelter, where he was routinely scanned with an InfoPet scanner. Okay? Now, scanners work off sensors, right? We just read a patent, WO 2020-6060606. They spoke about sensors in there, where he was routinely scanned. Okay. At the sound of a beep, a 10-digit number appeared on the screen identifying the dog as Buddy Holly. None of this is new. This is not a new idea to me. I've just been one of the chosen ones on this planet during this time period in this dimension to help explain this to other non-believers. That's it. I'm no special person. If you reach this YouTube channel for whatever reason, you're hearing this for a reason. I don't know the reason, but I'm explaining this to you, so you're hearing it for a reason. You could have been turned the fucking channel. For nearly a year, the Marin Humane Society has been implanting every dog and cat adopted from the shelter with an InfoPet microchip ID, a high-tech answer to the age-old problem of permanently identifying your beloved. Well, like I said to you before, we're past that. We're no longer there. Now, let's turn this bad boy this way. Here we go. Big Brother's coming. Revealed secret plan to tag every man, woman, and child. Transmitter was the name, is what I was looking for. Here we go. Implanted in every person in the country would tie all of us into a massive computer that could track everyone down at any moment. You guys don't understand when this shit was written, bro. So let me try to get a date for you. Let me try to get a date. It looks like August 1989. Hold on. I have the book, so. $1989, a number. Another summer. Get down. Sound of the fucking drummer. I can't see that small. And I have a magnifying glass, but I don't know where it is right now. I think it's in my top drawer. I'm not going to leave this lesson for that, but I'm pretty sure that says 1989. I just want you to reflect on that for a second. 1989. So this is not a new effort. This is just something they've been working on for quite some time until they perfected it, right? So the technologies that they thought they were going to have to use, like the rice chip and all of that, that's antiquated technology, Jack. Because we started to understand quantum physics on a deeper level. So it is not just particles, but it is particles within wave congregation. It's particle within wave. So it's both at the same time, particle and waves that is consistently happening and taking place, omnipresent, everywhere. Just like you would say about your God. However, the God in the Bible seems to not know things at inopportune times. He doesn't know people are building the tower to the heavens. He doesn't know Adam and Eve are out here talking to snakes in the grass. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. What is omnipresent is metaphysics. That is omnipresent. Let's get back to this. Coded microchips implanted in every human being. Okay, I read that, right? Yep. That could track down at any moment, and plans for such a system are already underway, whether you like it or not. Well, obviously we don't like it, but what can we do? The secret scheme is being touted as a service for protection of the people by high government officials, but some insiders who object to the move say it's just another way for Big Brother to control its, and then I can't see that word, transmitters. Top-level national security agents are trying to convince sources in the Bush administration to begin the project in which every man, woman, and child will be implanted with a tiny transmitter, claims David Millerand, a critic of government intervention who says he has received leaked information from inside sources. They're trying to say this will be a good way for authorities to quickly track down missing people and children, as well as criminals and spies. Injections. But with the astounding technology of today, everything about you could be contained in one tiny microchip, which would be connected to a government computer. Well, this is what I will say. They found out that human DNA is an excellent source of storage. That's what they found out. George Church being able to download. I always say 70 million books because I know that I think it was more than that. So let's just find out right now. How many times was George, put some respect on his name, Professor George Church, and I think it's Dr. Professor. Let's not get carried away. Dr. Professor George Church able to download his ebook to DNA. Let's just wait for the answer, why don't we? Harvard geneticist George Church used standard DNA copying methods to duplicate his book about 70 billion copies. I said 70 million. And in fact, it was not 70 million. It was 70 billion. The book, his 53,000 word book, Regenesis, How Synthetic Biology Will Reinvent Nature and Ourselves, along with 11 JPEG images and a JavaScript program, was converted into a 5.27 megabit digital file. It's crazy talk. Maurice Martin says, after they want my body, my voice campaign, now they want to force a chip inside us to live on the planet. They're definitely evil people. But it won't be a chip. And that's what I'm explaining to you. They have new technology, but they need the conductive source inside of you. What that will be. That's why Klaus Schwab is out here talking crazy and nuts. Like, we may have to redefine what a human being is. They're already considering the reclassification of we the people. And I get it. If we're half technology, half human, and half is a bit much. But my point is, if humans start to implement synthetic technology into our biology, anatomy, and then we procreate, and then one plus one is 3, meaning if you take something unique and take something else unique and you put them together, they're going to create something unique. What do we call that unique thing now? Because if the baby the offspring is alive with remnants of the technology in its body, then guess what? It's not no longer eligible to stay in the, based off Homo sapiens sapien, which is wise man. Technically, we can keep it as we're still wise man, but then I guess that would go to what is the definition of a man, which if you were around anywhere from between 2020 and 2024, that got very confusing, right? No one knew what a fucking woman was. All I know is she was getting thrown around on fucking wrestling mats everywhere. Volleyballs were getting smashed into her cranium. Because no one could define, all of a sudden, what the fuck a man and a woman was. Shit got crazy. All of a sudden, there's fucking grown men in the girls' bathroom. Oy vey. Shit got crazy. All right. Let's get back to David Icke. He's over here cooking. But I do want to play. Let's just say in the next 5 minutes, I'm going to open up Robert Kennedy's book. And we're going to listen to what he had to say. Because I'm kind of peeved off. People told me this dude was lying. I knew he wasn't lying. I was more upset that you wouldn't even listen to Robert Kennedy. Yeah, he got in and switched some. He turned his back on a couple of things. But that's expected when you're operating at that level, because now you get to see the real gangsters. Never mind these guys parading around in different fucking colors. They could be the farthest thing from a fucking gangster. Right? They're nothing without their fucking buddies. They're throwing up the signs. Yeah. That shit is cute when you're in low impoverished neighborhoods and you wanna oppress your own people. Good for fucking you. Just stop telling me about the white man if you're gonna do the same goddamn thing. Give a shit about none of that. Then you take the money, you buy overpriced luxury clothing. That if it had any value at all, which I doubt it did, loses value as soon as you leave the store. No one's buying that shit on Poshmark for the same amount. You shitting me? I want to play some RFK. They told me he was lying. He wasn't lying. It's just that I think he was intimidated by the pharmaceutical mafia. Right? These markets, the money they make are invested. Like, it gets bigger than Nino Brown after a while. So there's a lot of money being made, but that money has to be managed. It's not like one person is making all that money. No, it's put into an account, but then that the money that's in that account is given to people to manage it, so that money can make money. That money can be lent out, and it can make money. So it becomes a real threat after a while if that industry is under attack, or it seems like it can be affected in a negative way, right? And what could cause it to be affected? Information. Well, let's just stop the people from giving goddamn information because they're messing everything up. Who's spearheading this conversation? Robert Kennedy. Well, let's go have a conversation with him before we have a conversation with him, if you know what I mean. Let's have a real conversation with him. And I'm pretty sure when that conversation took place, he evaluated the risk to reward. Right? Can you compete? You can't. That's a rhetorical question. You can't compete financially against that type of machine. Now, if it's just you out here, yeah, you could be on some gung-ho shit, yo, whatever, and then you end up in somebody's trunk in the lake, whatever. You understand? You feel like, I'm going to die a martyr, and you probably will. Shout out to Bill Cooper. You probably will die a martyr, and we'll never forget your name. However, what if that's not the first option as a consequence? What if they're talking about doing something to your children or your wife? Or your ma or your da? Then guess what? You're going to reconsider everything, right? One of the reasons I think Trump got us on a bullshit war right now, I think it's either one or two things. First one being, they really do have evidence of him giving a blowjob to a man. He doesn't want that information out there, and now he's out here doing preposterous stuff as POTUS. Second thing, maybe he was threatened, but his kids, you understand? Maybe they threatened his daughter's life. And that threat is going to be carried out whether you're on this planet or not, Donald. This is what you have to understand. You do this and we will screw your daughter. We'll traffic her. Jared get a divorce quietly. No one even fucking know. We just throw her right in line. She'll be in some brothel in fucking Romania. This is a crazy planet. Yep. No matter how popular you are, he tried. And I seen that. He was gung-ho. Then he got elected. And he started sponsoring the fucking MMR vaccine again. I was like, what happened here, bro? What are you talking about? No, it's a good idea for everyone for us to continue. Yeah, I think we should even make it stronger. What? That's not what you said before. Oh, they got to you because your money can't compete. Only thing that can compete is if all of us stick together. But they got so many campaigns to divide all of us. You understand? Everyone hates the white man. Spanish man's running around calling him a gringo. Black boys calling him a peckerwood. Redneck. White man is offended. His forefathers had done some incredulous stuff. Left him on the planet to deal with all this shit. Huh? We find out the truth about all this crazy psychotic stuff. 2,000 people visiting the hanging of one fucking black man. And if that was the worst, but it's not. For after they finish the hanging and the man has died, they fillet the fish, fillet the skin, cutting off the skin, wearing it as fucking ornaments. You can't even make this shit up. Left the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren to deal with these atrocities. These people are now exhausted. Like, wait a minute. I didn't do none of this shit. To agitate the situation even more, the government sees the agitation. You know what they do? They give black people more fuel for the fire. Matter of fact, let's give them some more motherfucking support. DEI! And throw in the gays too. What? Actually, it's vice versa. They set up the DEI for the gays and threw in the black people just to piss white people off even more. But uneducated black people, and not all of them are uneducated. Some of these motherfuckers are educated and they're just being happily used as a tool. And that's why they're giving media presence and all of this. And they're hey, we should boycott Target. They took down the small section for the blacks. Yeah, they got rid of that shit, man. Listen, Jack. I'm not boycotting Target. So knock it off. They got the pants I like, the stretch, the denim stretch. Yeah. Nobody else sells that the way I like. I am almost 50, sucker. I wear stretch pants now, man. Yeah. I don't wear $700 jeans. My jeans cost $24, God damn it. And I get them at Target. So you shut your pie hole talking about Target. Right? And besides, it wasn't a large black section. I went in there. It was a tiny ass black section. And it was an enormous ass gay section. How much gay clothing can you fucking wear? The audacity to steal the rainbow from the story of God. Rainbow was for a covenant. Have you no decency? You would steal the symbols of religion for atrocities that are stated in the religious books as abominations. God damn it. You're not supposed to be sticking your pecker in another man's bumhole. You're not supposed to do it. You do it anyway, you catch disease that's on you. But fucking with the clothing line at Target is something else. Something totally different that I, for one, will not stand by for or participate in. Now, you take your White Claw drinks and you go off into the forest and you do as you will as two grown men. It's none of my concern. I repeat, it is none of my concern. Just leave my stretch jeans out of this shit. Black people, you already had affirmative action. What the fuck did you need with DEI? Did you not read the list that came out for the budget of DEI? How much was allocated to you, black people? There was more allocated to homosexual abominations and atrocities, stupid shit, gay operas and dumbass comic books, ridiculous shit. Winter, what is good? I assume you and Littlefoot done had breakfast and you came over to the show. Good morning to you and your household. Miss Winter is in the building. I appreciate you for finding me this morning. Steve says you guys are useful idiots. They are. Useful fucking idiots. It doesn't take that much to see they're using you to participate in something just to ramp up the hatred for one another. Why are you... But at the end of the day, I applaud these think tanks because they sit in these fucking offices and they think of ways to create tension between us. And it works. It works. They're not using the old playbook no more where they get some white cop to shoot some black kid who clearly wasn't doing anything, deserved to get shot. But guess what? We need more aggravation in the world, so you're up, buddy. Get her done. Are you not a part of this fraternity, or are you a part of this fraternity? All right, get it done. But after a while, it loses its flair. Then they have to come up with new shit, new ways to divide us. Somebody starts screaming, they hate transvestite. What? Who's a transvestite? My Uncle Charles? Wait, Uncle Charles is alive? I thought you said Uncle Charles. Wait, everybody shut up. What's going on? Trannies. Where? Conversations all over the place. Right? Social media jumps in, starts paying people for stupid ass content. Enormous amounts of fucking money. It is amazing The machine they put together. It's called mass distraction. To watch it work is a thing of beauty, though. Only if you understand exactly what's being orchestrated. If you can't see it with the naked eye, then I see this shit like Coda in the Matrix. So, oh shit, they did it. But it will only be utilized into a certain time period, right? Then as TikTok cut off these people, right? Had them gassed up. People got used to doing nothing. Oh, I got to do a couple of videos. I could get paid hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars. That becomes oversaturated. Now nobody can do no, but they don't know what the fuck they do. They're online crying, yo, I gotta forfeit my house. Move back with my parents. TikTok is not paying like they used to. Don't worry. Another window will open up. These things happen. You just got to be on the lookout for new opportunities. We call it SWOT. Strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Stop being part of a wave that happens. Start looking for a new wave, right? You stay at the forefront of shit. A lot of times I'm way too early, right? So the Roku shit, I was way too early. And then I'm working with people that don't want to work together to accomplish something. 3 years, people start to get together. Let's build a Roku channel, right? Then it's going to be overused. They'll be at the bottom. You know what you got to get into? You got to get into Roku channels. What? I did that fucking years ago. You didn't want to. Yeah, but we didn't understand what you was talking about. Exactly. But now the opportunity, the window it seems like it's still open, but it's not. You know how many people ahead of you now? It's over. Look for the next thing. It's over. Don't waste your time here. There's a company called Upwork. You know that phrase, don't hate the player, hate the game? I hate the fucking player. I'm not going to lie to you. You know why? Because they thought so far in advance. What Upwork does is they allow you to upload your resume, right? And you can compete for jobs. But it's not like Indeed. You can outbid. If you want your resume and your profile seen before somebody else, you can outbid. You have to use fucking coins. Right? You could came in at the tail end. It says, yo, this opening is going to close on Friday. This shit could have been open all week. Friday, right before it closes, you could put in a bid using digital currency. See, this is what I'm talking about. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Always look for them, right? You see opportunity, and then when you start doing shit, remember, you're going to be pioneering something that no one else understands. So they started to spearhead something. No, not a lot of other people are using. Monster doesn't do that. Dice doesn't do that. Indeed doesn't do that. I don't know what type of shit LinkedIn is on. LinkedIn do got you paying for shit, but not like this. Not at this velocity. Upwork, if you want to outbid the people, hey man, they encourage you. The last person that bid 13 digital coins. How many coins you got? Bid for 15. Somebody's going to outdo that bid, right? So you jumped the gun. 35 fucking coins. Now they're going to say to submit, just give us like 25 more coins. Shit is a crime, a true crime. But what they're saying is, we're going to put you in front of this employer. How you like those apples? So, what I'm explaining to you guys, remember I was speaking to you about adapting and evolving, you have to you have to get ahead of the times. And looking at fucking minute micro videos, brain rot on these stupid ass apps is not helping you. You better tap in, right? Tap in. Every once in a while, an idiot may come over, like fucking dumbass Harlem Legend, tell me, oh, look, your YouTube channel is failing. My YouTube channel is not failing, Jack. I got thousands of people that watch me not to really be entertained, because they don't know if they missed something that they might needed to hear during this time. And they just want to see, Saladin up on that? Tap in with your boy. That doesn't sound like failure to me. That sounds like value. It sounds like I got a few people that appreciate my point of view. POV. And that's okay with me, because everyone can't talk about the things that I talk about with the detail that I talk about it with. They call me a polymath. Sound like a strange thing to call someone. Said a polymath. Yeah. You talk about a lot of different topics. That's an ability that not everybody has. Really? By golly, I might be autistic. You never fucking know.
Cannot be told apart from what AIDS alleged to do to the immune system. It's the same scam.
All right.
You ready?
YouTube is trying to charge me, and they will. But while they do that, let's go ahead. This is a perfect opportunity for us to move over to your boy's book. Let me pull him up. Robert F. Kennedy. Okay. Let's pull this, man. All right. This is the book we will be listening to today. If you don't have this book, I don't know what to say. We will be listening to this book. It's by Robert Kennedy, narrated by Bruce Wagner. This book alone has 7,375 ratings just on Audible. It's called The Real Dr. Fauci, Bill Gates, Big Pharma, and the Global War on Democracy and Public Health. It's been totally hijacked. Totally hijacked. And I guess the only thing you can do is there's a verse in the Bible somewhere. It says, "My people perish for lack of knowledge." I don't know if I'm going to do a show and it's going to change the minds of groups of people. Right? Not like Senator Rand Paul and Jim Jordan and the rest of these guys. Salute to them, man. There's a few of them that did not let this Fauci thing go. And I appreciate them. I do. So, my little YouTube channel, what I think is going to happen is it's going to help individuals out. And you'll know how to move, right? So it's not that I don't go to the doctor. When I go, it's usually to find out the diagnosis, what they say it is. What's the diagnosis for this? But I know they're trained not to stop the root cause of something. They're only interested in dealing with how to suppress the symptoms of what you have through prescriptions of drugs, because it's a business. And once you understand that it's a business, it alleviates a lot of frustration that you have. You'll wrestle with that frustration for a minute, just like I did with the United States, right? This is why I don't do that much complaining about, this is a lot of people do this. This is black man's land originally and all this other stuff, and we're not being treated fairly. And because you don't see it for what it is, which is an actual corporation. That's not even fucking made up. It's an actual corporation. And the bottom line with any corporation is money, right? So, because you have shareholders, so you have to continuously show the value for that corporation. I'm only saying that is because if you stop looking at it just as some, whatever they painted the picture as, this is presented as some democracy for the people and we love you, and then you stop disappointing yourself thinking that you should get anything and that they're going to consider you first. No, everything, even special interest groups, get turned into a business. So suppose you are not getting the rights that you think you deserve, and then you reach out to somebody. There's just somebody looking at it as what? That's an opportunity to create a business off of the deficiency of what this group of people are talking about. Hey man, they don't care about us. Oh, I'll represent you. Why? Because there's going to be something in it for you. So stop looking at this United States is some fucking fairy tale place to where they have to give you love and concern. You're not gonna get it like that. And the moment you don't get it and you feel insignificant, you're gonna be insignificant. Cause everything is a business here, Jack. And if you can't be used, you're useless. So you better figure out where you get in, fit in where you get in around here, Jack. Imagine wasting all that time about how they unfairly treat you instead of looking at how shit works and jumping in and getting involved. I come from the same fucking ghetto that these motherfuckers come from. I got the same horrific fucking stories. Parents on drugs, blase, not enough to eat, blase, blase, blah, bitch. You roll up on me and tell me, nah, you lucky though. How the fuck am I lucky? I've seen how this shit was working out. All right, boom. The people that go to school, they get seen as a candidate for hire. The people that go to jail are having a hard time getting seen. This is not a case for Sherlock Holmes. It's not a case for Sherlock Holmes. People that know how to switch it up, their vernacular, they're perceived a certain way than the people that they cannot help how they speak because they have not trained themselves to speak how they would be accepted, how they want to be accepted. You want to be accepted a certain way, and yet you tell yourself that speaking proper is speaking like the white man. You sound crazy and ridiculous simultaneously. Bitch, start playing with words. Open up a dictionary and just start saying words. You could talk jive talk anytime you fucking feel like. Before you even take my advice, let me tell you what's going to happen. You're going to get some people that start to treat you differently. Why? Because it's going to be real clear the difference between you guys now. when y'all was seen as the same infidels, because y'all had the same traits, it was all good. They was happy as a pile of shit. Why? That there was no contrast. They didn't have to try. As soon as you start to try, you and your buddy go like this. Because they're like, yo, I ain't trying to do all that shit. You out here talking like white people now? What? It's English, man. What are you talking about? It's English, bro. Man, you know we ain't raising. I've heard all type of crazy shit. From, we don't dress like that in the hood. And the hood is devastated with poverty. It's plagued with disease and infestated with failure. Fuck, I want to be like you for. I'm sorry. I don't. Now, for me to continuously to try this and do this the same way I've been doing it and expect a different result is insanity. So I have to try something different. So here's a couple of things. I'm going to try to talk like they expect me to talk. And maybe I'll show up dressed like they would expect a professional to dress. It doesn't seem that preposterous. Now, let's start with chapter 1. We're going to start right here.
By collecting data from the vast network of doctors across the globe, they added dozens of new compounds to the arsenal, all proven effective against COVID-19. Dr. Corey told me that he was deeply troubled that the extremely successful efforts by scores of frontline doctors to develop repurposed medicines to treat COVID received no support from any government in the entire world, only hostility. Much of it orchestrated by Dr. Fauci and the U.S. health agencies. The large universities that rely on hundreds of millions in annual funding from NIH were also antagonistic.
Let me just stop you right there. There's another book. Give me a second. As I find this book, it should be close. This book here. This is called Rockefeller Medicine Men. I have the first section of this book on Audible. If you have Audible Plus, you can listen to it more than likely for free. It comes with your subscription. If not, you can buy the book for whatever I got it purchased up there, but it's only the first section. If you want the full audio book, then what you're going to have to do is go into the description, my video description, and there's a link, and you can get the full audio book of this Rockefeller Medicine Men, Capitalism in America. And what you're going to find in this book is the detailed weaponization of philanthropy, designed by John D. Rockefeller and Andrew Carnegie in the 19th century. This tactic is still being used today. So, when they talk about universities not getting the funding, certain organizations not getting subsidization and grants, this is all weaponization from philanthropy, right? We'll give you the money, but ain't no money without some honey. You got to do something for the money. You got to stand on board with us, so it will validate our claims.
We didn't have a single academic institution come up with a single protocol, said Dr. McCullough. They didn't even try. Harvard, Johns Hopkins, Duke, you name it. Not a single medical center set up even a tent to try to treat patients and prevent hospitalization and death. There wasn't an ounce of original research coming out of America available to fight COVID other than vaccines. All of these universities are deeply dependent on billions of dollars that they receive from NIH. As we shall see, these institutions live in terror of offending Anthony Fauci, and that fear paralyzed them in the midst of the pandemic. Dr. Fauci refused to promote any of these interventions, says Corey. It's not just that he made no effort to find effective off-the-shelf cures. He aggressively suppressed them. Instead of supporting McCullough's work, NIH and the other federal regulators began actively censoring information on this range of effective remedies. Doctors who attempted merely to open discussion about the potential benefits of early treatments for COVID found themselves heavily and inexplicably censored. Dr. Fauci worked with Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg and other social media sites to muzzle discussion of any remedies. FDA sent a letter of warning that N-acetyl L-cysteine, NAC, cannot be lawfully marketed as a dietary supplement after decades of free access on health food shelves and suppressed IV vitamin C, which the Chinese were using with extreme effectiveness. In September, Dr. McCullough used his own money to create a YouTube video showing 4 slides from his peer-reviewed American Medical Association articles to teach doctors the miraculous benefits of early treatment with HCQ and other remedies. His video went viral with hundreds of thousands of downloads. YouTube pulled it 2 days later. Leading doctors and scientists, including some of the nation's most highly published and experienced physicians and frontline COVID specialists like McCullough, Corey, Ryan Cole, David Brownstein, and Risch.
Now, I just want to remind you guys, because I don't know when I'll stop, but I see there's a consistent of 10 or more people in here listening, so I'll stick around for you guys. However, I can see the analytics, and on a topic like this, even though it's Sunday, 222 people is absurd. It is absurd. And that's what gets me frustrated, because I know it's not you guys. It is straight up, they don't want this information out there. You know why? Alphabet company owns Google, and Google owns YouTube. However, in the portfolio of the Alphabet company, there are several pharmaceutical companies. So there's keywords that when I put it in, I automatically know it's going to get low numbers because they've artificially planned the suppression of these type of videos. They don't want the information out there. It's crazy. If I was talking about something that would contribute to mass distraction, right? Frustration, frequencies at a certain decibel, anger. Oh, go let them fly. Let's get everybody in on tapping in on this type of this effort. Can we take a break from that real quick? Real quick. And I'm gonna take a chance here. I don't know what I'm going to get. Let's start there. Let's start here.
With Purdue Global, education fits your life, however it looks. So being a mom and a student would look like listening to a lecture while folding laundry. At Purdue Global, the learning you have gained through experience you already have matters. Start your comeback today.
The second law of thermodynamics tells us that everything in the universe tends towards disorder. And in complex systems, chaos is the norm. So you'd naturally expect the universe to be messy. And yet, we can observe occasions of spontaneous order. The synchronization of metronomes, the perfectly timed orbits of moons, the simultaneous flashes of fireflies, and even the regular beating of your heart. What puts these things in order in spite of nature's tendency for disorder? On June 10th, 2000, the Millennium Bridge, a new footbridge across the River Thames in London, was opened to much excitement. But as crowds filled the bridge, it began to wobble back and forth. Police started restricting access to the bridge, but that only resulted in long lines to get on. The wobble was unaffected. 2 days later, the bridge, which had cost £18 million, was fully closed, and it wouldn't reopen for another 2 years. So what went wrong? Well, it's long been known that armies should break step when crossing bridges. This dates back to an accident in 1831, when 74 men from the 60th Rifle Corps were marching across the Broughton Suspension Bridge in northern England. It collapsed under their synchronized footsteps. 60 men fell into the river, 20 of whom suffered injuries like broken bones or concussions. Luckily, no one was killed. But after this, the British Army ordered all troops to break step when crossing bridges. Now, look at the people walking across the Millennium Bridge. Most of them are walking in step with each other. But they are not part of an army, they're random members of the public, so why are they walking together? And why couldn't a modern bridge designed for heavy pedestrian traffic handle this? Well, to understand it, we have to go back 350 years.
Before you do that, I need you to understand something. The walls of Jericho were brought down simply by the people marching around Jericho, the walls of Jericho, just marching around. They have to keep the people in a state of chaos and against each other. And they continually have to do this because if they let up, it is natural. Because there's more to a human being than just the flesh. You are a duality. So it is natural that we will start to sink as one if they don't interfere. In numerology, the number for synchronization is 1111. When you go to your Bible and you go to the first chapter and you go to the 11th, you go to the first book, Genesis, and you go to the 11th chapter. So go to your Bible and you go to Genesis, first book, chapter 11. You say that's only 3 ones. You said it was 4 ones in symbology for synchronicity. Yes. Go to the first verse in the 11th chapter. And now you have 4 ones. And that whole chapter is about synchronicity and the importance of synchronicity and how valuable it is. The whole chapter is about it. And in fact, And in fact, that verse starts out, and the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. Now, let me show you how valuable this is. If you jump to verse 6 and read, it says, and the Lord said, behold, the people is one. The whole chapter is dedicated to the singularity of the people, the solidarity of the people. It doesn't say in the Lord said the people are one. Now, does it? Read your Bible. Does it sound strange? Why would they write the people is one? Sounds like Ebonics. Because that's what they mean. You won. They're not looking at you as different, separated. The people is one. And they have all one language. And this they begin to do. Dig this, man. And now nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. The powers that be, they understand quite well what I'm explaining to you. This is why they try their hardest to keep this type of information to be given to you. Only if they can curate the narrative. And by this, they get Orthodox religion involved. And then they subsidize Orthodox religion. Hey, no taxes for you, right, buddy? No taxes. You're exempt, man. You're my guy. You can talk to God, right? Yeah, sure you can. Listen, either way, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. No, you pay no taxes. I like you. But the whole time, they're in 1 degree's connection with the head of these Orthodox religions. You best to know that. So, whether they want to use these organized religions for jihad, fatwa, misinformation, disinformation, delusion, whatever. Shit is way bigger than Nino Brown. But you can't say they never gave it to you. They gave it to you. You just don't understand it. Unless you come across a channel like mine. I tend to drive people away, though. I troll people. Sometimes I'm not trolling. I really want you to get the fuck out of here. Unless you have the patience of Pythagoras and willing to wait outside of an African school for 1 year just to get the knowledge. Yeah. That's a fact, Winter.
In 1656, famous Dutch physicist Christian Huygens created the first working pendulum clock. The goal was to help sailors figure out where they were on the globe. Latitude can be judged by measuring the position of the sun or stars, But for longitude, you also need to know the time at some fixed location, say your home port. But clocks at the time were routinely out by around 15 minutes a day, so they were effectively useless. Huygens' pendulum clocks, by contrast, were accurate to around 10 to 15 seconds per day. Huygens' plan was to attach his clocks to a heavy hanging mass on the ship, so they wouldn't get tossed around by the rolling seas. His plan called for 2 clocks in case one stopped or was damaged. But testing out this arrangement while at home sick in February 1665, he made a remarkable discovery. 2 of his clocks hung from a wood beam across some chairs. Watching the pendulums sway back and forth for hours, he noticed after half an hour or so, they would spontaneously synchronize. As one clock swung one way, the second would swing the other way. As one would tick, the other would talk. So he tried disturbing the clocks. He set them ticking out of sync, but again, within 30 minutes or so, they were back to the same lockstep. Huygens thought this strange sympathy of clocks must have been caused by air currents between the pendulums, so he placed a large board in between them. But the clocks continued to sync up. It wasn't the air currents. When he separated the clocks, the synchrony would disappear, their times drifting apart. But when he brought them back...
Hello. So now what we're talking about is a phenomenon that's bigger than all of us, right? Unless we get back to the true sciences, the true mathematics. But the elites, whoever they are, have taken control and commandeered the education system. And they said, we'll give you money, you poor schools. You understand? If you apply for our grant. Well, I can tell you this. None of us wanted this war. We didn't have to apply for that. You just gave this money to these countries when we needed all of that money right here to make America great again. Right? Wasn't that the campaign? Imagine utilizing that money to actually invest in our kids, to make sure that they're outperforming the rest of the world on every other level, scientifically. All of it. Technologically, mathematically. When we didn't make that decision, I understood, okay, they don't really want us understanding anything, which goes back to the old saying, I don't want a nation full of thinkers, I want a nation full of workers. So whatever is in store, they don't need us to think. Especially if the beehive mentality is a real thing. You see, the beehive mentality can either be used negatively or positively. So they have to what's the word I'm looking for? Incentivize. Or incentivize? They have to pay money. I think that's the word I'm looking for. To inspire people to do preposterous things, right? The same thing they did with the rap industry. Obviously, there were people that could really play with words and make great songs, but their frequency was too high. So these people were making songs about peace and love and all this other shit, creativity. Yeah. Get out of here with that, right? Who the fuck has been shot more than 5 times and want to talk about your anger against the world? If nobody raised their hand, they say, yeah, we paying $1 million. Take you right out the ghetto, Jack. Everybody raised their hand. Oh, I do that shit. I ain't no idiot. And in fact, I don't think they were idiots. They just wanted to change their life. So even if they didn't have the skill set, right? Just say the first thing that's on your mind. The first thing? The first thing on your mind. Wait till you see my dick. Wait till you see my dick. Guess what? It's a hit. I love it. Sign them. Love it. What? None of this is by accident. None of it. If they can keep us apart, we don't synchronize. This is science. Even if we're in the same environment, they need an atmosphere of chaos amongst us. Let me tell you something about science. It's not until later I got really started to get into it. But the more I start to understand it, it's like, holy smokes, that I guess we call it science, but whatever this really is, it is mind-blowing to see how you can be, your emotions, your minds, all of this could be altered with the frequency change. Right? So you get a totally different feeling when Sade comes on and says, there must have been an angel by my side. Right? That's you feel a certain way. Totally different feeling from fucking Mobb Deep. Quiet Storm coming on. People passing a blunt around. Couple of guns in the car. Totally different feeling. So I said, oh, we don't understand the science. Once you understand the science, then what you start to do is say, oh, I'm not listening to that. I'm not watching that. Right? You start, because you understand the science, you say, nah. See no evil, hear no evil. I'm good. It affects. The same way you are what you eat, and you eat a bunch of sugar, you get fat, you don't work out, is the same thing spiritually and mentally. Right? But what we call spiritually is just the frequencies that scientists don't know or want to admit either exist, or they don't know what to label it. They haven't gotten that. They don't have the instruments. So religion calls it a soul. What is science going to call it? Phenomenon. They're going to call it, it's not science. It's not something they can measure. That's where science fuck up at every last time. And guess what? Nikola Tesla said this would happen. Until science gets off his small ass high horse and admit not only do we not know what's going on, but there is something going on there and we just can't explain it yet. So maybe we could work together. There's only a few organizations willing to work together with phenomenon and science, but those eventually get corrupted too, right? So it doesn't matter if I even name them, because at some point they all get corrupted. I don't even believe, me personally, if you want that, the way I think, I don't even think a lot of these Masonic lodges started corrupted, right? I think they were infiltrated and now they have a bad name. But if you look at the core of Masonry, it's how to build and elevate your life and design it through their curriculum. I don't think that could be bad. And to be honest with you, I'm trying to think of a horrible Mason that I know right now. That not nothing that came out on a Dateline years later that this guy was a pedophile. I don't know nothing about that. But as I'm running through the Rolodex of the Masons I know, they're all very reputable people. Everyone that's going through my head right now.
Together, the synchrony returned. Huygens realized the two clocks were synchronizing because they were hung from the same wood beam. It transferred mechanical vibrations from one clock to the other, making the two oscillators coupled. Huygens...
I don't want to be taken off out of context. Terrell is in the house. Shout out to Terrell. I'm not in opposition of math and science. I am for and a fan of true math and science, like a straight fan. I'm not a dogmatic member of. Remember, I just said all these organizations and communities eventually get infiltrated, as we just seen. Thus, this is a story about Dr. Fauci today, and how he was the head. He was the poster child for science, and literally said, when you criticize me, you criticize science. I don't think so. I think I'm just criticizing you. Because true science should not be used in this manner, right? Because it gives it a bad name. And there are some weak points. That's my biggest gripe with the science community. They don't want to admit that there's weak spots in science. So no matter how strong they think they define the definition of science, it's still going to come down to theory, right? All that other shit you wrote in the definition about systematic evidence and all of this going to come down to the theory, right? You being, yes, I'm with the idea of you being able to measure and repeat certain things. This is good, and this can be used for good. So I'm glad we came up with the terminology science, but it is not the all in all. And once they get to the point where it's like, you got these people over here, Yahweh is saying, no, God is Yahweh is the all in all. And you got the science community saying, no, fuck that. Science is the all in all. I think all of y'all done bumped your fucking head. Because the science community has proven time and time again, if it doesn't align with their narrative, then they will do the same shit everybody else does, and they will get everybody to come together to say, we are right, even though they're wrong. And they just did it. And they did it worse, if not at the same level, as fucking Christians killing people to become Christian. But they killed people this time in the name of science. So, I don't like labels. I would like people to use their brains. Why do you need to be classified as a Democrat? Why do you need to be classified as a Republican? Why? Do you feel the necessity? I tell people I don't have any religion. They get repulsed. I just walk off like, you are so fucking mentally primitive. And because of your arrogance, it makes me want to tell you the truth about your God. Otherwise, I usually don't. I let you live because you need something to believe in outside of yourself, because you don't have the ability to believe in your fucking self. So I let you live. Unless I feel like you're too arrogant. Then I tell you about your too big God. Fuck him. He's a joke. He didn't exist before 1300 BC. Are you shitting my pants? And the other one is 500 AD. You gotta be kidding me when you're talking to me. Talk to me nice! Or don't talk to me at all. However, some people need this belief system because this world is chaotic. It'll crush you, Jack. It will crush you. You understand? And you won't know what to think from here to there. Shit happens so fast. One day someone here that you love, the next day, gone. You don't know how to deal with that trauma. So you need some type of rhyme and reason. And I get it. So I'll let you live. But let's be clear. This is my channel. So I would tread lightly. Or don't come over here. I might expose you to some other shit that you're not ready for.
Was the first to observe this kind of spontaneous synchronization in inanimate objects. And although he qualitatively described what was happening, it was only a few decades ago that scientists started fleshing out a rigorous theory of synchronization.
With Purdue Global, education.
All right, I don't want to watch that. So let's go back to the book now. If you're just now joining us, see Observing the Sixes in the house. Salute to you. If you're just now joining us, we're reading a book. The chapters are very long, so I'm going to start with chapter 1B. All of them is called Mismanaging the Pandemic, right? So far, you didn't miss much. They're just talking about how philanthropy was basically weaponized, right? And how synchronization, there was strength in synchronization. At that point, I broke off to give a little insight on synchronization and how the powers that be are well aware of the ability. If the people get synchronized in solidarity and they come together, this is the one thing that can defeat them. The one thing. It's not about... This is why they don't play games with all that storming the castle and storming Capitol Hill and all that. They want to throw you in jail. Because, hey, today is 16. But if 1 million people do show up, Jack, they don't know how to put... They could destroy a few with their guns and bombs, but guess what? The people are going to get to them regardless. Fucking take this shit over like this was Venezuela. I mean, the way they presented it, that's what you would have thought, right? Officer died, some white lady died, we don't even know her name. White people getting frustrated. They're like, a white woman died, god damn it. We don't even know her name, and we got George Floyd being proposal for a holiday. Not really, but the way they make it seem, right? And I get it, because that is some type of flip-flop shit. 1 minute, the white community is on top of the world. The next minute, hey, we really need you for societal chaos. You mind if we put you at the bottom? Or close to the bottom? You're not at the bottom, really. But there will be some changes around here. See management for any concerns. Management is not listening. So they did everything like they was told to do it, right? They went to elementary school, middle school, high school. They went to college. They caught VD. They met their love. They graduated, got jobs, had some children, got the dog, took out a loan for a house. They're doing everything that they were told to do it the right way, kept the credit score good. Only to be kicked in the fucking bum by their own government making bad decisions. Now, I was told to talk to management, and it don't seem like who's running this joint. Well, to answer your question, it was a docile man. They said he might have had fucking mental disease. I seen him personally trying to shake hands with a flag in one video. They said he was running the show for 4 years. Couldn't have been. He couldn't walk a flight of steps. Totally incapacitated. They never said nothing. So, to tell you the truth, I don't know who management is. I have no idea who management is. I have no idea what's going on. So I talk to the people. Right? We had one guy that said, we got to make America great again. As soon as he was elected, he did everything except make America great again. Shit was crazy. So I talk to the people. Because I'm not crystallized or extreme. Not polarized. Right? I'm black, but I'm not black to the point where I hate all white people. That's where they want me at. That's where they want me at. They want me to be. That's why they send over their agents, right? They send some agents over. They put monkey and watermelon emojis in the. They want me off my dean so I can get into that conversation. I don't got time for that, Jack. There's a war going on outside. No man is safe from. You can run, but you can't hide forever from these streets that we done took. You walk around with your head down because you're scared to look, because you're shook. Ain't no such thing as halfway crooks. Never around when the beef cooks in my part of town. It's similar to Vietnam.
Believe that Dr. Fauci's suppression of early treatment and off-patent remedies was responsible for up to 80% of the deaths attributed to COVID. All 5 doctors independently told me the same thing. The relentless malpractice of deliberately withholding early effective COVID treatments, of forcing the use of toxic remdesivir, may have unnecessarily killed up to 500,000 Americans in hospitals.
It's crazy.
Dr. Corey says so plainly. Dr. Fauci's suppression of early treatments will go down in history as having caused the death of 500,000 Americans in the ICU. Ryan Cole is one of the doctors who adopted McCullough's protocols early in the pandemic. Dr. Cole is a Mayo Clinic and Columbia University-trained board-certified anatomic clinical pathologist and the CEO medical director of Cole Diagnostics, the largest independent lab in Idaho. He has diagnosed more than 350,000 patients in his career. Dr. Cole discovered McCullough's research during his own investigation of early treatment remedies when his overweight brother called Dr. Cole from a neighboring state on his way to the ER with a positive PCR test, labored breathing, blood oxygen at 86, and chest discomfort that he rated 9 out of 10. He has type 1 diabetes, explains Dr. Cole. Dr. Cole redirected his sibling to a local pharmacy and called in an ivermectin prescription. Within 6 hours, my brother's chest pain was down to 2 out of 10 due to the interferon effect of ivermectin, and within 24 hours after taking ivermectin, his oxygen was 98, and he then fully recovered, Cole told me.
Wow.
A light bulb went off.
Wow.
Dr. Cole has overseen or helped perform over 125,000 COVID tests during the pandemic. Since rescuing his brother, he has encountered many patients in early stages of the disease. Almost none of them could find doctors in the community to treat them, he told me. I intervened to provide early treatment to over 300 positive patients, half of whom were comorbid and high risk. Of this cohort, none were hospitalized and none died. Early treatment of COVID-19, plain and simple, saves lives. If the medical profession had been forward-thinking and hands-on and focused on this disease with an early outpatient multi-drug approach, knowing that COVID-19 is an inflammatory clotting disease, hundreds of thousands of lives could have been saved in the U.S. Never in the history of medicine, says Dr. Cole, has early treatment of any patient with any disease been so overtly neglected by the medical profession on such a massive scale. Cole adds, to not treat, especially in the midst of a highly transmissible deadly disease, is to do harm. Cole says that the only truly deadly pandemic is the pandemic of undertreatment. He says the sacred doctor-patient relationship needs to be wrenched away from Anthony Fauci and the government, medical, pharmaceutical, industrial complex. Doctors need to return to their oaths. Patients need to demand from medicine their right to be treated. This year has revealed the countless flaws of a medical system that has lost its direction and soul. Cole points out that if you are under 70 years of age and have no severe pre-existing illness, you can hardly die from SARS-CoV-2 infection. So there is no fatality rate that can be reduced. And for people who are elderly and have pre-existing illness, he adds, as we know from Dr. Peter McCullough and his colleagues' work, there are miraculously effective medicines to treat this virus so that the fatality rates go down another 70 to 80%, which means there is no ground for emergency use whatsoever. That's a huge threat to the vaccine cartel and to remdesivir. It was only the independent doctors like Ryan Cole, who were not reliant on Dr. Fauci's largesse and who threw themselves into hand-to-hand combat against COVID-19, who discovered readily available treatment modes. We had hero doctors that really had to break with the academic ivory tower, says McCullough. Finally, a group of independent organizations, including the Association of American Physicians and Surgeons, the Frontline Critical Care Consortium, and America's Frontline Doctors, galvanized to organize the country into 4 national telemedicine services and 3 regional telemedicine services. Following Dr. Corey's explosive Senate testimony, thousands of doctors and frightened COVID patients began calling the hotlines for treatment. We took over healthcare, says McCullough. In numerous countries and regions around the world, repeated, striking, temporally associated reductions in both cases and deaths occurred very soon after either ivermectin was distributed or health ministry ivermectin recommendations were announced, said Dr. Corey. It could be argued that a similar association occurred in the U.S. Dr. Fauci and the industry propagandists later attributed the January decline in COVID cases, hospitalizations, and deaths to their vaccines, which began their rollout in mid-December 2020. However, even mainstream media doctors reluctantly acknowledged that the drop could not possibly be a vaccine effect. By February 1, only 25.2 million, or 7.6% of Americans, had received a single vaccine dose. The CDC acknowledges that there is no effect until many weeks after the second COVID jab.
Stop right there. I want to remind you of someone who deserves recognition. I believe she was delicensed. Her name was Judy Ann Makovitz. Is an American former research scientist who has made discredited medical claims, such as that Maureen endogenous retroviruses are found in blood samples of most patients with malignant. Many of these are scientific words. Right down here, she says she has made false claims about vaccines, COVID-19, ME/CFS, amongst others. The thing about it is, she was only discredited and defamed when she wanted to express some of her findings. And why shouldn't we listen to them at least and consider and compare what her opponents say? Why is it always taken to the point where We have to totally discredit this person and defame them. So it says down here, COVID-19 conspiracy theories. Makovitz gained attention on social media for promoting her ideas about COVID-19 pandemic. She does not believe that a vaccine is needed to prevent COVID-19. Let's just stop right there. Did it? Never mind why was it released in the first place? Why was it worked on in the first place? We could probably start there. Never mind why was it worked on in the first place, being that it wasn't allowed to be worked on in the United States. If it's too dangerous to be worked on in the United States, why would you even take it to another level? Like, yeah, but all right, if I can't work on it here, I'll work on it somewhere else. Spend $10 million of U.S. tax money on it somewhere else. I started off my show. If you're just getting tapped in, let me reset. Because since I'm going to talk about Judith Makovitz, I just want to reset how I started off my show. I started off the show explaining how the French Ministry of Health pulled a product that was used for 50 years over the counter. They pulled it January 13th, 2020, weeks before COVID-19 was declared a global health emergency by the World Health Organization, who we all know Bill Gates has given over 50% of the WHO budget to. Well, somehow miraculously, or for whatever reason, weeks before COVID-19 was declared a global health emergency, and before major outbreaks hit Europe, France's Minister of Health, Agnes Bazin, signed an administrative decree that classified hydrochloroquine as a poisonous substance. The decree moved hydroxychloroquine to France's list 2 of poisonous substances. This is after 5 decades, 50 years of it being over the counter, where it was safe and it was used for malaria, lupus, and rheumatoid arthritis. So, let's see here. If you can't remember, I don't know if you do remember Judith Makovitz, but she had some theories of her own, because they were trying to stuff this vaccine down our throats. And the thing about it was, it did not go through the same quality assurance testing that our previous vaccines went through, and understandably so, because it was claimed that this is an emergency and people are dying. But now, hindsight, as we look at the decisions that were made, it turns out some of these decisions were made knowing there was a high risk that the mortality rate would increase unnecessarily, right? Just because they knew the side effects that remdesivir had. They already knew it shut down the organs. So why would you, man? Why would you choose that? Suggest that? Why was hydrochloroquine pulled from over the counter weeks before it was announced that this was a global pandemic? You know the answer. Anyway, she said the coronavirus was caused by a bad strain of flu vaccine and it was circulating between 2013 and 2015. She claimed masks will activate the virus and reinfect mask wear over and over. I don't think she was wrong in a lot of these areas. One such circulating video gained notoriety in 2020, titled "The Plandemic: The Hidden Agenda Behind COVID-19." Now, all I really want to know is, does this lady, and by the way, it says you used to be able to get that movie on Vimeo, but it looks like you can't get it there anymore. However, does she get her life back? Right? Now that you believe the fucking liar in a demon leprechaun, do we all get together and throw a day for Judith Makovitz and say, hey, today is the day we recognize that your life was uprooted, your character and your reputation was destroyed, and we were wrong. Actually, you guys were wrong. I'll be standing behind her as I always have. Who's this douchebag? Oh, he looks like a fucking asshole. Jerk off, smirk off. David Henry Gorski is an American surgical oncologist and professor of surgery at Wayne State University School of Medicine. He specializes in breast cancer surgery at the Karmanos Cancer Institute. Gorski is an outspoken skeptic and critic of alternative medicine. We need more people of intelligence to know their purpose. Because what happens is you can get people who can obtain knowledge and follow orders. Those are the two requirements that the elite need. Can you retain knowledge and can you follow orders, right? That doesn't necessarily make you intelligent. It just makes you being able to retain knowledge and recite that knowledge back and follow orders. And these are the people that rise in rank and status. What we need is more of the people who are wasting their natural talent, their creativity, their ability to be the best intellectual that they can be. We're losing the intellectuals. David Gorski is not an intellectual. He's knowledgeable, but he's an automaton. We want you to do this without thinking. He doesn't. So he watched The Plandemic, and he said the amount of nonsense, misinformation, disinformation, and conspiracy mongering in Mikovits' response to question is truly epic. Turns out he was an asshole. If we can't trust Fauci, we can't trust you. PolitiFact. Here we go. Operation what? How many operations we up to now? Operation, it'll come to me. The one where the media gets involved and they do their job. Here we go with PolitiFact. Described the video as a deep dive into conspiracy theories about COVID-19, public health, and the pharmaceutical industry. Wow. All they're going to do is continue to try to discredit. Yeah, culling the herd. So, I do want to remember Dr. Judith Makovitz. Hopefully her life is restored. You understand? Hopefully her life is restored. And there were many others. There's scientists that died behind this, man. Trying to tell the truth. I think YouTube is upset. They keep taking subscribers from me. I know they're just plucking them off. You don't lose that many subscribers just out of nowhere. It's like I won't even have to make a video and I'll come back and it'll just be 10 subscribers gone. Like, come on, bro. That's not happening. You're upset. I get it. I think I'm done for today. If you get a chance, go check out those books that I told you about. I want to make some funk music today. But in any event, as I leave, I have a jazz album. You understand? The link to this jazz album is actually in my video description box. I think I'll try to make some jazz today. Some jazz and some funk. See what song I want to play.
Force a smile on my face before I start my drive. And I work and they pay me whatever they pay. I don't feel alive. Yeah. It's my dream to be at one with peace, just driving. But you and me complete that dream of us just vibing. I'd rather be free, just vibing, 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 vibing. I'd rather be free, vibing, vibing, oh yeah. There's a beautiful day in the city of angels, walking on the beach with the sand in my sandals. There's a girl smiling at me from the Pacific Ocean. She got that high tide energy. She's something like I've never seen, and I don't ever wanna leave. Keep, yeah.
Pretty smile, liquid dimple, she a stare. Skin smooth like Sunday. Morning breeze, me reach for touch. She vanishing, I miss me freeze. Dream girl, only now me sleep, me find her. Every time I wake, my bed feel wider. Search whole town, but me can't see her. Dream girl, why you love the night and hide the day? Dream girl, me a pray you walk my way. Me step out on the road with a hope. Every face me pass me at a scope. Me a be ashamed, me tell myself again, but I just strange a smile ease the pain, then it come back same. Dream girl, only now me sleep me find you. Every time I wake, my bed feel wider. Search whole town, but me can't see you. Dream girl, why you love the night and hide the day? Yeah. Dream girl, me a pray you walk my way. Give a vision, Jack, make it real. Give me one chance for show how me feel. Me tired for wake up with me hand in the air. I reach for a woman when no dead anyway. Dream girl, only now me sleep me find you. Every time I wake, my bed feel wider. Search what earth, but me can't see you. Dream girl, why you love the night and hide the day? Dream girl, please come stay.
Alright, that's my show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for rocking out with your boy. I might be back in the morning, I might not, but I might be back in tomorrow afternoon. Got some things to do. I might be back this afternoon. We'll see how it goes. You understand? Thanks for tapping in.
See what you did to me. I'm gonna be so high, so high. 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 I'm going up, I'm doing it. I'll be. I'm going up, I'm doing it. I'll be.
Once again, you can get this album
I'll be.
from the video description in this video, and also the link to the audio book Rockefeller Medicine Men is also there. All right, I'll catch you guys later on. Peace out.